You know, some believers are confused today about the difference between living under the law and living under grace, as the New Testament teaches, and they even want to impose that same law on other people. Good morning. This is Pastor Ernie Lewis of the Blue Point Church in Sisney, Illinois, with your thoughts for Thursday. You know, there were those in the New Testament times who were very controlled by not only the law from their past Judaism, but also from traditions that had been handed down for generations. Even some New Testament Christians tried to mingle those practices, maybe create a mess of religion. It seems like Paul was always combating false teachers who could not accept the simplicity of the gospel message in Jesus Christ, but they always wanted to create a mixture from their past. You know, in Paul's writings to the churches of Galatia, he spoke of Peter's hypocritical actions. You see, Peter had accepted Christ and the New Testament teachings of grace apart from the law, but among certain believers, he began to withdraw. He withdrew from some Gentiles and wouldn't associate with them. It even got to the place where he and his comrades began to burden these new converts among the Gentiles with some Old Testament practices such as sacrifices or feast days, even requiring circumcision for them. So in Galatians chapter 2 and verse 16, Paul writes, knowing that a man is not justified by his works, by the works of the law, but by faith in Jesus Christ. Even we have believed in Christ Jesus, that we might be justified by faith in Christ and not by the works of the law. For by the works of the law, no flesh shall be justified. Paul gives his personal testimony that he has put away the Jewish practices of law keeping. Now, don't mistake this testimony to mean that he didn't live by the scriptures anymore. I mean, he had come to realize that man is not justified by the works of the law. There is nothing we can do ourselves, even trying to keep the law, that will justify us before God. He has told this witness before so many that he says, now we have believed in Christ Jesus. You see, Paul was formerly a Pharisee. Matter of fact, he claims to have been one of the greatest among them by his commitment to keeping the very letter of the law, was proud of it. But his new testimony is that he has come to faith in Jesus Christ so that he might be justified by that faith and not by the works of the law. That must have been so freeing for one to realize we cannot be good enough on our own. The problem with these New Testament believers that Paul was writing to was not only their propensity to still try and live by the law and all those traditions of their past, but to try to impose those restrictions on the new converts around them. The New Testament accuses some Jewish leaders of placing burdens on others that they themselves could not even bear. This seems to be the practice of the New Testament church, where they tested new Gentile converts to see if they would follow their old laws, their traditions, their former strict practices. So Paul reminds them, we are justified by faith in Christ, not by the works of the law. He states very clearly, for by the works of the law, no flesh shall be justified. We must take an account of our lives today, our conscience, our teachings, our practices. Are we still living by the laws and the traditions of our past, or are we justified by believing in Jesus Christ? Do we try to live under the law and some strict rules that we've imposed on us and perhaps even on others? Or do we accept that plan of salvation in Jesus Christ by our faith in God's grace and his wonderful gift?